Welcome to Shortly's Women in Tech series. This is Susanna Chain interviewing Samantha Coyle. Samantha is a software engineer at Intel Corporation, and her goal is to develop her career as a computer scientist. Hi, Samantha. Welcome to this space. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Looking at your profile, I have seen that you are quite science-centered, but also I have noticed that you have a sister and you share your passion for science and computers with her. Is that right?
Yes, I am an identical twin, and my sister is also a software engineer.
Oh, is she? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Who has been the inspiration for both of you? Does it run in the family?
It actually does, yeah. So one of my older brothers is also a software engineer. He is one of the smartest guys I know. He's also who introduced us to the field and what really inspired us to kind of go down this path. So definitely our brother. He's a really good role model for us in this field.
And have you had any famous female role models through your career in IT? Or has been just your brother?
You know, I would say definitely my brother is my biggest role model. He is the reason I am here today, like with the experience that I do have. He's what introduced me to it, right? But I think there are a lot of women in computer science who inspire a lot of other women and a lot of other people in general. Grace Hopper, Miss Lovelady, I think. I forget if it's Lovelady or Lovelace, sorry. But I think there are a lot of very inspirational women in this field. Lovelace. And yeah, it's just, I think my brother is my biggest role model. I'll stick with that.
With your sister, what type of games did you play when you were little, when you were growing up? Were you trying to be computer scientist when you were playing together?
You know, it's really interesting because we did not do anything computer science related whatsoever until college. I didn't even know what I wanted to major in until like a month before I had to decide. So in terms of games that we would play when we were younger, we are very sports driven and really enjoy working out and playing games related to that. So we used to live out in the country and we would always play volleyball, right? It's very much a team sport and we would pepper together. So we just kind of ran around and had fun together, like just her and I a lot. Yeah, very much sports and being outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you decided to do computer science at the university, what were those years like for you?
It seems like so long ago, but it was like 2 years ago. For college, for us, it was amazing, honestly, right? I mean, just being a twin, I always have my best friend with me. And if we struggled together on a lot of things. And yeah, so college, I feel like I had a really good support system. And it's what really made me realize that I did make the right choice in terms of going with computer science. I remember me, my sister, and my brother, so we all actually lived together because we caught our brother on his tail end of college. And so we actually had a class together and we would all sit around our kitchen table, working on coding problems, chatting about different things. And yeah, so that's what really like made me happy with my choice. And yeah, I mean, I also did extracurriculars like club volleyball and tried out for the actual school team for volleyball. So I just had a lot of fun in college and worked really hard. Yeah, I guess typical college experience.
In terms of gender, how diverse have you found the teams that you have worked with during your college years and through your career?
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of diversity that I've experienced, and I am very fortunate to have quite a bit of experience and have experienced a lot of variety in my experiences. So one of my first internships, I joined a team that I can't even remember how many devs exactly it was, but it was, I'd say about 7 or 8 people on the team, and in our staff meetings, maybe about 15. There were no other females on that team. Even in the staff meetings of like 15, I was the only female as an intern for one of my first experiences into the field. And I definitely experienced some of the negatives of that, right? And so that was kind of a hard experience. And then I have quite the opposite of that experience where I'm at now. And in terms of diversity, this is the most diverse team, org, company, I would say, that I've ever experienced. And it feels really good. And what I mean by diversity here is not exactly just by looks, right? Because I think a lot of people always associate, well, and always is a strong word, I will take that back. A lot of people associate diversity just in terms of looks. And I would challenge us to think a little further on it, right? Because diversity is the experiences you've gone through and what gives you your perspective and what has brought you to where you are today to make you think differently than other people, right? Yeah. And looks can be part of that. But I haven't seen or met in person any of the people that I currently work with. We live in different states. And so it's kind of a different experience on diversity because I don't know what everyone looks like. I just know how they talk or how they communicate or if they turn their video camera on. And it's a different view on diversity that I really like. And I feel like we all bring a lot of different mindsets to the table. So I don't know, lots of variety in terms of that.
Why do you think is such a big difference between the first company that you went to work with and this one? Why do you think is that?
I think a lot of it boils down to company culture and just the people there. Yeah. And I think that people could always just be kinder and more open-minded to people who are maybe just different in whatever means they are. The first company, I mean, I don't know. I just think it boils down to culture and some of those practices that people at the upper levels kind of place down at a corporate level, what they want in terms of diversity and inclusion. And so it's where I'm at now, right? You feel that from like top down, but it's also very much everyone in my team, in my org, like I feel like we all really embrace those cultural values and just embrace people in general. So like working with good people. And that's a hard thing to get right, I guess. I don't know.
At the intro before, I mentioned that you are a software engineer at Intel Corporation. What did you enjoy most of your role?
The thing that I enjoy the most about my role is I feel like I am in an environment where I can flourish, and learning is actually a big driving factor for me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I have a lot of opportunity to learn and grow my skill set as a software engineer, but just as a person in general. And it's just a good place to be. I really just like my role and my team and my project in general.
Is there any project that you are particularly proud of and you want to share with us?
I think just one that comes to mind off the top of my head is the last project that I was on. And it was my first project with Intel. So it's whenever I joined, right, I was new. And whenever you join a new company, right, you're always a little cautious, a little apprehensive, or at least I am, just kind of testing the water, seeing how it is and making sure I'm doing a good job. And yeah, this last project that I was working on, I would say I'm super proud of because I really wanted to kind of prove myself right out of the gate. And yeah, I picked up a task with one of the other ladies on my team, and we did a really good job at building up the Go APIs that we needed for our project. And I remember I kept telling her, like, hey, Preeti, I don't want to be stepping on your toes. Like, let me know. Just because, I mean, I'm new and I wanted to like mesh with the team well and do a good job technically. And yeah, she just kept reassuring me, sorry, that it was fine. And even if I did step on her toes or I don't know, that it was fine. And I was just really proud because I started really well on the team, made a good impact and did a good job. And also our team just worked really well together and our project looked super good. And it just was a really cool project. So that's a project I'm really proud of because I started and finished it with my great team.
Great, thank you for sharing. What is the main challenge that you face in your career?
There are so many challenges.
What is the main one?
yeah. So I guess the main challenge, I'm going to think a little more on the main challenge that I've experienced, because in all of my roles, I've kind of experienced different challenges just based on the culture, the team, the project. So it's hard for me to give a generalized challenge, but I would say one that I experience now is just, I guess, along the lines of like growing pains, but in a really good way. Challenging myself technically and making myself uncomfortable at times, right? Because so I have my main team that I'm working on my project with, but I help out with another team. And what we look at is ways to help make the AI developer experience better, because there are a lot of challenges in that space. And I experience imposter syndrome. I do not have a background in machine learning, in artificial intelligence, and they asked me to help out in the project regardless. And so, I give demos on pains and experiences that I go through that we're trying to help address. And that's a challenge I experience now, is just a little bit of imposter syndrome, but it's good because it's making me better and it's just growing pains.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned the imposter syndrome, because you are not the first one. And it's something that other women that I've been interviewing with this series have mentioned, imposter syndrome. So quite interesting.
Yeah, and I think the way to get through that is just confidence, right? And just your stuff. So I don't know, just growing pains that a lot of people go through.
Do you think, because this series started because we wanted to encourage women into IT careers, and then it has developed into a more complex project, but still we are focused on women. Do you think gender matters in terms of progression for companies?
I think everyone could always bring more diversity to the table, to their teams and to their projects. I think that gender is among that. As I said, I mean, I've been on, I think 3 teams actually where I was one of the only females. So yes, I believe that we can be doing better in terms of gender in particular, just because it would only help make people feel more welcomed and more comfortable in a space that might not historically be women, right?
I'm going to go back to your college years. And what do you remember in the classroom? Is it a classroom full of male or mix? What do you remember?
So and I remember after we chatted about that question, I was like, oh, I didn't even touch on that. But so most of my classes, I guess talking about the computer science classes, were primarily male. And I think having my twin with me, because we literally took every class together. I think that has given me a super unique experience because I've always had someone with me going through this very much the same thing. And yeah, I remember one time in our data structures class, a guy had taken a picture of us from behind and he posted it on his Snapchat story and said, "What are these sorority girls doing in my upper level computer science class?" And
wow,
yeah, that got around and like we found out about it. And I don't know why that shocks people. Like, why does it matter that we're female and we're in an upper level computer science class? It shouldn't surprise people. I mean, the world is changing, and I don't have, before college, we didn't have a background in computer science. And I remember too, in those intro classes, right, which again, I mean, this was about, I'd say 100 people maybe, again, mostly men. And a lot of my professors were men. And I don't know, I guess because I always had my sister with me, maybe it didn't impact us as much because we always had someone very similar to ourselves, right? We're identical twins. We always had someone with us that was experiencing the same thing as us. So yeah, I don't know, mostly men, interesting experiences, but I think because I had my sister with me, it didn't phase us as much, I guess, as it might for others, which, yeah.
One of my questions today is about stereotypes. Well, the answer that you just gave me in regards of your college years kind of answer the question as well, because I was going to ask you if you have come across any stereotypes in regards of women in tech. That's the most, the one that I have heard most. Women are not made for IT, or women are not made for tech. So, well, I think that answered the question, but I don't know if you have any other that you want to bring.
Yeah, I mean, people that are different in whatever means, looks, thoughts, groups are always going to treat other groups differently, potentially, right? And in terms of stereotypes for women and women in STEM, yeah, I mean, look at leadership, the amount of women in leadership in tech particularly. I don't know if I've ever experienced a female tech lead. And I guess there's a lot of things that could impact these statistics, right? From historical precedents to societal norms to gender norms. Not an inclusive list by any means, but stereotypes, people are always going to have them. And I think trying to recognize the stereotypes that we might associate with certain groups or certain people and trying to challenge yourself could always help, right? Because I try to not fit the stereotype that people might have for females in STEM. I really pride myself on being a strong back-end Go engineer, and I try to bring good knowledge and experience to the table. And, you know, some people might associate women in STEM with maybe they're more made for the front end work, or maybe they could take notes for the team during team meetings. You know, there's a lot of little things that people can try to associate with women in STEM, but I like to use that as a motivator to prove them wrong.
That's a good way of facing it. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back to the concept of diversity that we were talking about before. I think it seems to be an interesting topic right now. Like lots of people is talking about diversity, and seems like many companies wants to bring a more diverse team on the table. Why do you think they are paying more attention now to having more balanced teams?
That's an interesting question. Why are they paying more attention? I think in terms of that, right, everyone always strives to be better from a corporate level to an individual level. And I think there are a lot of topics that are getting more attention now that historically haven't. Some of that could be certain people opening up their eyes to what's been going on around them. Maybe people getting more informed, and maybe more people speaking out. And I think all in all, it's a good thing that people are getting more informed, more attention is being brought to the subject. I don't know if we'll ever be perfect, but that's the thing, right? You always strive for excellence, never perfection. And I think that's something to be kept in mind in terms of diversity. Because that's the thing, right? People are trying to have more diverse teams, companies. But it's like, are we striving for 50-50? Are we striving for more women than men? Like, I just don't know. And I think that's an interesting thing that could be thought more on, is what we're trying to achieve with that. And I think the motives there are good, right? To have a more inclusive environment, to have more supportive environments for people that are just different. And I think that is a good thing to strive for.
In terms of balance that you are right now talking about, you mentioned before about female leaders. I was thinking, would you like to be a female leader in the future?
100%. So I definitely want to, I think that's the thing, right? Like, I attended the Society of Women Engineers conference recently, and the theme for the conference was Aspire to Inspire. I love that theme, and it really speaks to me because I really want to help inspire other females to consider a career in STEM, because I didn't know what I wanted to do for a living. And me and my sister did it because our brother did it, and we just went with it. And I remember I failed my first computer science quiz, and mind you, I graduated with a 4.0. Like, I cried when I failed that quiz. And it was kind of a defining moment, because it was when I was like, okay, that's fine. I just need to do better. And from there on out, I just kind of made it my mission to do better and keep learning and keep working at it, even if I felt discouraged at times or felt like I just wanted to stop. But it's like, don't stop, take a pause, and then get back to it. And so, I definitely want to be in a role to help encourage other women, to show them that they can, and to also help them however I can. That kind of stuff is really important to me, and it's something that I definitely see in my future, and I'm really looking forward to.
Great. Glad to hear that. What do you value from a company, Samantha?
For me, what I value in a company is a lot of things, right? As a software engineer, I value the ability for me to grow as a developer and the technologies that they have that I can work with. And from the lens of just a company, right? As me, as an employee, I want a good environment and culture. That is always one of my number ones that I look for in a company. And it's so important because it is what can help you flourish. It is what can help make you feel supported. Having those good cultural values So those are definitely the top two, culture and the tech, right? Because I'm a software engineer. But I think it's one thing to say that you have a great culture, right? But it's another thing to embody that at an individual level, at a team level, and at a corporate level. So that's definitely what I look for, is that people say it, but also do it when it comes to having a good culture.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, I'm going to give you a moment to inspire others. I want to ask you, what advice would you give to other girls that might be curious about IT roles but haven't made up their mind yet?
Just go for it.
That's a good one.
I would say just go for it. And from my experience, there were times that I got discouraged. I had several internships where I cried for unfair reasons. And everyone's going to experience unfairness and challenges, and it's all a part of your path in life. And I say just keep going for it, keep chugging, and just have that goal in mind that you're striving for. And just keep going and don't get discouraged. But and I would say, in addition to that, aspire to inspire.
Great, thank you very much. Maybe next time we can have another chat and have your sister as well, because she does IT as well, doesn't she?
I think that'd be a lot of fun, right? Because I would assume she would have a lot of the same responses. But I don't know, she might not, because we've experienced a lot of the same stuff together. I don't know, it'd be interesting.
At the end, even though that you have had similar experience, having them together, probably you will have felt in similar ways, but maybe different, because at the end you're identical twins, so who knows?
I know, it's been so interesting seeing us grow more as individuals, because we used to always tell people we're the same people, just in two different bodies. And it's so funny thinking back to that, because we're different now. And that's cool.
Great. I always wanted to have a twin sister, but I wasn't that lucky.
I know, my mom got the 2-for-1 special.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Samantha. I highly appreciate you being here today with us, and all the best for the future with your career in computer science.
Thank you.